And what a cool opening.
We're doing all of them, aren't we? God. The two reviews also?
Oh, yeah.
So they're going. That's 3 chapters to keep track of. Hola!
Hey, guys.
Hey, Kathy, what episode is this?
Episode 48.
48? Perfect.
Are we actually live, everyone?
We are now live. All live.
On episode 48.
I didn't even have to ask
For
you.
the guys, the podcast.
The intro shouldn't be loud. I don't know why it is. It's been like that. I haven't changed the setting on that. Sorry,
It's
being
super,
young.
you know what? That music is too long, too. I mean, that's my own little,
If I didn't make it that long, it would take you forever to come back for a drink. Oh, talking about drinks, let's set up a poll.
a poll.
We're not even actually. Let's not even set up a poll. Let's do some betting. Who would like to bet on what Gonzo's drinking today? Sorry.
I want to bet. I'm in.
Well, if you were in the Twitch stream, you could bet on this. Sorry.
I'm gonna give him some hints.
Liquid. Legionnaires wins.
Liquid.
He chose liquid.
I am not drinking liquid.
That
In your
Really?
face, Legionnaire.
Um,
You thought you had it.
I think by definition, if you're drinking it, it's liquid.
I'm gonna have to go with that. Technically correct is the best kind of correct.
All right, here we go.
Yes,
Here's
sir.
this. What is Gonzo drinking today? Minimum bet 1, maximum bet is 100. You can enter by typing the bet ID and the amount. 0 for beer, 1 for bourbon. Oh man, I got the burpages today.
Unless
They
it's a
like
beer
Mac
mixed with
and
bourbon.
PG.
Ooh, that would
Why
be
would you put
double
bourbon?
winners. A brubbin?
What is that called? The Boilermaker?
Breeben?
Oh, yeah, fair. I might try that.
I think it's
Plasma.
breeben.
Not plasma.
Plasma.
Alright, so,
Tasty, tasty plasma.
everyone who subscribes to us on Twitch, remember you have to manually update your subscription. I know they do laps. Mine just lapsed, just resubbed. You can actually go up to the subscription bar. It tells you when yours actually will expire. So you can keep track of it there and hit us the sub again after it expires.
See, because if you don't, we don't get it.
Yes, indeed. And
And you
I'm
get to hear
trying
some cool stuff going too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get some cool stuff. So, let's go ahead and get it. Bottom right-hand side of the screen is Adam. Adam, you are what at Broken Egg Games?
I am the owner of Broken Egg Games.
That would
Hello.
make you the man.
Right. So I pretty much just do everything that needs to be done that somebody else isn't doing.
Okay. So, if the toilet paper needs to be changed, you change the toilet paper.
I get it done. That's what's on the list that day.
Yep.
That's what happens.
Right? That's
Got to get in
what
the
it
trenches, Get
I
it
mean,
done.
you don't yet have an employee to do that sort of thing.
Sometimes you just got to do things yourself, Sometimes you just got to do them yourself.
I think you need a solid number 2 to take care of that toilet paper problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
is. So, since you are our guest, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking a selection of Monster, Miller Lite, and Diet Dr. Pepper. Yeah.
Whoa.
I can appreciate that.
They're
As,
just like literally lined up in a row here. And just
There's
keep
only-
switching.
as
There's only one of those
who
I would
is-
drink.
As someone who is drinking rum and coke and coffee and was just handed some chai tea, hot, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's my array of beverages.
John, what are you drinking?
Just depending on the mood, switch it up.
I have vodka mixed with some cran cherry from Ocean Spray.
Ooh.
It's pretty
That
good.
sounds good.
It was very
Yeah,
specific. You were like,
that
from
sounds
Ocean
good.
Spray.
Cran cherry, I think, pretty much gives it away, but it's just.
That's true. Cran anything is definitely ocean spray.
I just feel like I had to use the brand name with that because I don't use the good vodka, so shitty vodka and shitty Grand Cherry would probably be really bad.
He goes all out on the mixer.
Okay.
Look, mostly I do screwdrivers, decided not to do a screwdriver, and you want an inoffensive vodka for the screwdriver because you don't want to overpower, and Popov is cheap in a plastic bottle.
This is the pain.
It'll get you drunk!
Yeah. I once saw a girl play beer pong, but with screwdrivers. She didn't do too well.
No. I mean, I'm in, but no.
All right. So last and final call for betting. 5, 4, 3, 2. Nobody's betting. I think everybody's afraid to use their stuff right now.
Yeah, they need to.
They need to
start
raid the
hunt.
banks. All right. The winner is I am drinking a beer named after me.
I would also ask that.
It's a Founder's Old Dirty
I'm gonna
Bastard.
clean that in a little bit.
You were in the Wu-Tang Clan?
I'm not in the Wu-Tang Clan.
Should be.
So the winner is beer. It is a Founder's Dirty Bastard, a Scotch-style ale. Open it right here, right now.
Well, I'm hoping after my trip in October for the Sunday, we're going to go around all the breweries we can in Wisconsin, and I'm going to have Rich Brotman from Beer Machine and Dan from Beer Machine to help me figure out what beers I may like, because I'm not a big beer guy.
No.
You go into New Glarus Brewery.
So, probably wherever they drive us. I'm just hanging out with my buds and going to drink some beer.
They make
Sounds
like a
great
park.
stuff at New Glarus.
So with
That's a
that,
classic Wisconsin.
let's go ahead and give a cheer out. We do need to do some salute to a few people this week. John, who do we need to do salutes to?
Neil Simon,
Neil Simon passed
playwright
away.
and comedian.
Neil Simon died?
Yep, he
Yes.
died earlier today, or
Yes.
Yep.
And John McCain.
and
I know
John
John
McCain.
McCain passed. I mean, but I didn't know Neil Simon died. He wrote some interesting comedies for the 80s.
Yep.
Yep.
So with that, guys, be safe. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.
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 Oh, that's lovely. Let's go and switch to the paint cam. We can get started on some really cool stuff.
Paint cam.
What do we want to go with first, guys? What do we want to talk about?
Well, how about we have Adam talk about Broken Egg Games things?
Adam?
Broken Egg Games.
You can
things.
talk
Yeah.
about Broken Egg game things?
Yeah, let's do that. What
I
So,
mean,
Adam-
you're here, so we should probably talk about that.
Adam, talk to us about why, because I've actually known about Broken Egg games for quite a while, back when it was like originally first starting and stuff.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to do this as a game, as a job?
As a job, yeah. Well, part one, I was a teacher, and all teachers have second jobs.
What?
So-
We do?
Yeah. So that was part one. Part two, I kind of just randomly fell into it. A friend of mine one day came to me and asked if I could. Well, let me step back a little further. My second job as a teacher is I own a small construction company. So we have a background in woodworking, manufacturing, building. I've always done things with my hands, always made things. And one day a friend of mine named Ian came to me and said, "Hey, Adam, I'd really like you to make me a display board for my War Machine army."
Okay.
And I was like, "Well, what's War Machine?" Because I didn't play War Machine at that time. I played Warhammer, RPGs, that kind of stuff. And this was 6 or 7 years ago, so the industry was way, way different back then. And so I was like, cool. So I started working on design ideas and some different things and came up with this wooden display tray that was CNC'd and hand finished, really, really nice. And he's like, "Holy crap, Adam, this is awesome. You should sell these." And I was like, "Okay." And so that's kind of how it started. And then we slowly added more and more products as we saw needs. It's kind of funny, like, because I mean, Gonzo, like 5 or 6 years ago, the industry in which I exist just really didn't exist.
No.
It just wasn't a thing. So we kind of created, and I don't want to be like, tooting my own horn or anything, but we kind of created an industry that spawned a lot of other companies that do really similar things to what we do. Because when we started, there was nobody else. So
yeah, I think like shortly after you guys, it was like when Advanced Deployment also jumped in and similar stuff. But you two were right there, just straight at the beginning.
Yep, exactly. So it's kind of funny because occasionally somebody will come by the booth or they'll be like, "Oh, this is a lot like what such and such does," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is." Or whatever. Or it's even better is sometimes the other larger companies that were already around will start making stuff like we're making, and I'm like, "Ha, I did good." So yeah, just it's kind of something that I pride myself in, and the people that I surround myself with, we like to innovate and make new things and create industries more or less where there wasn't something there beforehand. So it's something that I really enjoy. I get to be creative. I get to work with my hands. I get to meet amazing people like you guys and hang out. So it's really fulfilling. I travel probably too much. Yeah, so it just kind of rolled into that. So, we started with that core group there in the War Machine area and expanded out. Have some really, really successful lines in other game systems, and have built into some partnerships with other people like Ed Burrell at Skeleton Key Games with the adventure tiles, and he's just rocking it right now with his scrolls. I don't know if you guys have seen those, so it's really cool watching him do that. Work with Chris Johnson at Mechanica Studios. That guy's like a brother to me. Love that dude. Just getting to work with some really cool people and create some really cool things is just a unique experience. So I really like it as a creative outlet, and I think that it really works for me because, as Ed put it one time, I'm the pickiest human being he's ever met, and he meant that as a compliment.
That's awesome.
The quality.
Ed Brian?
Ed Burrell.
Okay, different Ed. Sorry.
Yeah, different. So just a kind of a thing of that. I kind of know what I want, and I know if I don't know, I know what I don't want. And trying to hold that to a standard has been really successful. I've gotten to work with Mitchell Malloy from League of Legends over Riot and stuff as an artist to make the Elite Gaming Token line. Just some really, really cool experiences, and the highs and lows that come with it. The success or failures on the different products, or things just working out, or finding, or the stepping stones, kind of thing of finding these processes out and then just putting them out there. So it's really cool. I get asked a lot of people if I'm upset when people copy us or do this, and I'm like, heck no, it means we're doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if that really answered your question overall, but
No, that's good.
No, it was definitely good.
yeah.
Now, you were saying that you do different lines. Now, of course, primarily our guys are War Machine and Horde players, but I know that y'all are stepping in some new grounds and making new things. Like y'all are doing, and we shared that post with the new X-Wing stuff because X-Wing 2.0 is coming out.
Yep. So we got those coming.
Are you an official license, or is this just, hey, these are things you could use?
Yep. These are just things you can use. For officially licensed stuff, we have obviously Privateer Press. We have Skeleton Key Games, and we're in talks with some other people about things, but nothing has been officially announced yet.
Okay.
So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, I mean, we made stuff for example, our first foray out of kind of the miniatures market was Netrunner back when it was really popular, and we hit a home run. The guy who makes the game Netrunner, or who created it, uses our stuff.
That's cool.
And additionally, there's a couple head nods to it. If you look at some different cards and you see the Netrunner credits, They look extremely similar to the ones we created, which is awesome because those cards came out after, like we had already released our stuff and had already been doing that. So another really good one we did was the Game of Thrones card game. People just absolutely love the metal stuff that we came up with for the coins and the power and the challenge icons. So those have been a really, really good seller. And then we do other things for Kings of War or us X-Wing. We have our metal X-Wing line, and now we're going to do a full art acrylic line for 2.0. We really run the gamut. Like I find a game that I'm kind of into or I like, or maybe one of the guys that works with me likes, and we just kind of develop a line. Our L5R stuff has done really, really well. The fan dial is super popular. Thank you. Yeah, so and I've had people working with me that just come up with some really good ideas sometimes, and we roll into it. Zafar to Johnny Z, he kind of really put together that entire L5R line, and he knocked it out of the park. It's a great line. So stuff like that just kind of rolls into it. We come up with an idea, figure out if it's viable, and then put it out there. And usually we do good.
I want to say thanks for Gallifreyan Dragon Balls for following us. Much appreciated.
I am most surprised to see that you have an Age of Sigmar token set, which is useful because one of the topics I was going to bring up is how much that doesn't exist in like the whole 40K and GW world.
Yeah. So, we're gonna get. I think we can get technical deep right now in some business discussion. It doesn't exist because no one's told the players that they need it yet, I think is the best way to say that. And it's not a need. That's a strong word. But even like in Hordes and War Machine, people used to tell me, like I would never buy this or I'd never buy that. And once they see the usefulness of it in game, the clarity, the saving of friendships is a key tag that I love to use for things that we make, right?
Yes.
Then there's no argument. It's like, we can went back and forth using this tape measure. Let's drop this widget in there. Boom, it's clear. Or the token was out. I guess I forgot. It's the reason why we first made the feat token, which was something that never had existed before for War Machine. It was just like, what? Let's this is. Now we know this is in play. There's no back and forth argument, especially in your time turns or back when it was not death clock. So your turn burned out, people would get upset or stress.
Talking about the Age of Sigmar one. I went to a tournament, Age of Sigmar tournament recently, and I had our prototypes that we have for our widget stuff we got coming out, and I let someone borrow our tournament tracker, and I let people use the measuring sticks for Age of Sigmar, and they were like, "This is awesome. I don't have to have a tape measure to make sure I'm a 9. Just lay this down, then move all my models around the 9 inches, or I don't have to worry about it. I know exactly what it is." And they were like, "Do they have Age of Sigmar stuff?" And I says, "Yeah, they have it where it's the +1, -1, and all that stuff." And they're like, "That's amazing. That saves me all the paperwork." And I'm like, "Yeah, and it comes down. You don't know you need it until you've tried it, and then you're like, damn, why wasn't I using this before?"
Right. Yeah. Our wound dials super popular for Age of Sigmar and 40K right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's just something that if you use dice or whatever, it gets knocked over. Or I know I've done it. I'll pick the dice up and roll it for something. And I'll be like, why'd I do that?
Yeah.
I did have a thing where I turned my victory points down and spent it as a command point, and didn't realize till turn later. I'm like, oh shit, hold on, those are wrong. Let me fix those.
Yeah.
I swear I was just talking to somebody about that, rolling your counter dice for
for whatever reasons. Yeah, because they were they had dice set to the side for their control points or everything, and I was like, the other guy had the tournament tracker and set it down, and he was like, I didn't have to use dice. And then I had a guy that was playing with 7 or 8 power solos, and I gave him my dials, the little wound dials, and I said, here, use these. And he was like, these are so awesome. They help me. And I'm like, yeah, you don't get them mixed up with dice. You get them easily you can look at them and tell pretty quickly. And they're right there. You don't have to worry about it.
And you can dry erase or wet erase on them, so you can literally label those wound counters for what model it's going
Yes.
to,
Yeah.
or what you're using it for, which is just awesome. So another one I saw at WarGamesCon actually was another person had walked up and didn't realize that those dice were tracking something. They were all friends, and these two guys playing the game. They're really into it. He walks up, he grabs the dice and starts rolling them as like a nervous
like,
twitch or whatever. And then they turn and they're like, "Oh crap, man! Like that was tracking something in our game," and everyone was like, "Oh, it's
That's
Even if it's like the turn marker, like what turn are we on?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
sure."
Uh-oh. So do you do stuff for bolt action?
Not currently, no. Although we have had people ask. Well, I should say we don't do things specific for bolt action.
But things that could be used for bolt action.
oh
like
yeah, there's
and
sure there are
stuff.
things to be used.
Oh yeah, I mean any of our measuring widgets for sure are going to be useful just for speeding up gameplay or clarifying things. We also those dials obviously work for all sorts of counters. Any different game. And then there's also our 2D terrain and our 3D terrain. And bolt action is 28mm, I believe, right?
Yeah,
so,
much. Yeah.
So all of our terrain stuff is going to fit really, really well for that in general. Yeah, I mean all that stuff right there works for that for sure. So that's the other thing too is even though we'll do specific stuff for different games, we also have a lot of non-specific stuff that's useful for just a boatload of games. Like our entire elite token line is just like it's for any game you need it to be for, and they're very colorful and they're very easy to identify for your different style effects. But whether you want to call it go to ground or knockdown, at the end of the day, a token with an arrow pointing down and a guy falling over is
Yeah.
is gonna get it done. So
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I use your fire one, and I don't have the ones that stand up. I have the ones that are just flat. And of course, I have a lot of things that do fire on my Grimkin, and that right there, they're so easy to tell. So whenever you're going to upkeep phase, like, oh guys, you need to test for fire, and it's not like you're messing up easily with it. You see them; they're big and bright, and they stand out really well.
yeah, well, and I actually for Pathfinder games as a GM. I love actually. So you can put them in front of the models if you're having a game in which you're going to be using miniatures. But just even putting them in front of the players to remind them about their bonuses or their minuses, it's huge. The players in the game started doing it too because if I give you a boost, right, or a buff, and you're not remembering that. Right, like you're hurting yourself, and did you remember to add your, blessing? Did you remember to add
Oh
your
yeah,
blessing?
yeah. That's
Instead,
a
I'll
good
be like,
idea.
Yeah, I'll be like, boom, here's a token. Look down the line of your tokens and make sure that you have everything represented for all of your buffs that turn. So like something like that, just hugely make sure that everyone's working at maximum efficiency without working at it. It's just
That would be such a
representation.
boon for my D&D group where nobody remembers shit.
Yeah, it's so true. You're like, oh wait, I got a bonus from you, and then you were singing, and then
You're like, what does bless do again? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
right. So you can just put it down, and then once again, one of the sides on those tokens is dry erasable, the acrylic side. So like I was literally just writing +2, right? Like boom on this token to remind me that I had these this blessing. I use the rage, the flaming axe is my favorite one for that. As a power booster or damage booster. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun, and that's what they're created for. They're created to make game flow easier and then also immersion. When you're playing Game of Thrones and you're clinking our metal coins in your hand, like that's just more fun.
Yeah.
It's more tactile. It's sweet. It's
Yeah,
super cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, we got that going. We got a lot of things coming in the pipeline. We're going to be unveiling our wound trackers that are Age of Sigmar themed. So there's going to be one for each of the forces, and then we also did dry erasables for people who don't want to buy the larger full token sets. So that way, if you actually want to write the spell name down or whatever, you can do that on these writables. And they the art is amazing on them. Chris did a great job for the art. I'm super excited about them. And I'm really hoping that the community picks up on how easy and how much use they get out of something like that, because it's just like starting over in a new market, like we did with War Machine, and then eventually it'll become the norm, and everyone's going to benefit from it. So,
Well, I mean, Age of Sigmar has grown in popularity, with the new edition, and
no
so
doubt.
with the everybody that was at that tournament that I played at were like, "Where can I get these? Where can I get these?" And I says, "Give me a little bit," because they were asking about the tournament trackers too, and I was like, "Just give me a little bit. Let me make some calls and look at stuff, and I'll let you know when stuff goes up so you can get it and blah blah blah." Because they asked for what I thought was interesting is they go, "Do you have one that have Age of Sigmar pictures and stuff on it?" And I was like, "Ooh, that."
CW lawyers are rabid. I would.
Yeah. No.
avoid such
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
So
I'll know
fantasy
about
pictures
that.
would be.
yeah, fantasies are fine. So, but that also brought up the subject, and when I started talking, and I was like, "What does it take to get a license on something and stuff?" Now you're officially Privateer Press,
yep.
and anybody else that you have official that you're with right now that you can talk about?
Well,
Yeah.
MRL.
So Ed at Skeleton Key Games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not nothing in concrete, but I have talked a little bit with Games Workshop. So I don't know if anything's coming from that, and I can just say that right now because it's nothing been too serious.
Yeah.
But there has been a reach out. I would love to do some stuff with them. That would be great. But yeah. A lot of the other stuff we do, you guys may not even realize that we're doing. We manufacture sometimes for other people, for Kickstarters. In fact, it's a great thing that we're really successful with, or tournament kits, support kits. It's because it's what we do. We make accessories. So people reach out to us and talk about how we can accessorize their game. So we help people walk through that. So we can do something like I've done just recommendations, right? Consultation on this is what I would do, and then I would do this, and you can do this, and then we also do the manufacturing. Obviously, we're not China, right, or that level, but what's cool about that is we can turn on a dime. We can change it up really fast, so we can change from season to season, or even region to region, and support these different gaming systems and companies with something that takes a lot of manpower and focus to do right, that maybe they shouldn't be focusing on. They should be focusing on the game and the basis of that. So
Yeah.
we've done stuff for people, and you may not even have known we've done it. So
One of the things that we were talking about is, what does it take to get a license? I mean, is it just, hey, I'll do this, and they like blah 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 blah, and you just like pay them a fee, or what?
it depends on the license. It depends on the company, and depends on what you are and are not allowed to talk about for those contracts. But essentially, if you have an idea, right, you can approach the company. You can approach who's ever in charge. It usually helps to know somebody, because they get, even I get emails all the time about somebody who has a product idea. And they don't really want to tell you about it because they're afraid that you're going to take it. But unfortunately, a lot of the time, somebody else has already made that product. So they'll have a lot of hype, but they haven't really done the research. So I think the first step I can say is do a boatload of research before you contact anyone, because you're going to look bad if somebody's already making it and you didn't realize it. So that'd be my number one step. Second, just kind of prepare yourself on your realistic capabilities of manufacturing. Are you going to be the manufacturer? Are you outsourcing it? Because if you're outsourcing it, then what I'd actually recommend you do is you just sell them the idea and be done with it, right? So that's how most of the other industries in the world work. When you're talking about like the idea for a patent, or if you're an engineer, you come up with the idea. You're not the guy making it and then marketing it and then handling the accounting and then selling it. You're not creating your own company. You have your idea, you make it, you sell it, and you move on, right? That is what I would recommend to most people to do, because we see, and you guys have been in the industry now, fly-by-night companies pop up and go away all day long.
Oh yeah.
right? Just all day long. And I think it's because people don't realize it's like, oh, you're not just making a product. You're answering customer service emails and packing and shipping and doing all these things that you don't want to be doing.
And what happens when all of a sudden everybody discovers it because social media is a huge thing now, and all of a sudden there's like 1,000 people leaping on your product and you have no way to fulfill it.
Yep. Or also 1,000 people copied your product with a slight variation, and now like you have
Yeah.
you've put all this effort into setting up this whole system of supporting it, right? Shipping all this stuff, and now your potential reach has been cut. So what I would always say is an idea for a game does not make a game company or an accessories company or anything else. Try selling it legitimately, because you can come up with more ideas, right? If you're creative and you have a really good thought process and that's where you think your strength lies, come up with something and sell it to somebody else. If you want to run a business, okay, well then yeah, but that's usually not the fun part for a lot of people, right? You know, I enjoy running a business. Like it's my background. I was a teacher of business. I love the ins and outs. I like doing that. I'm not just a dude who wants to make a game, if that makes sense. So
I've been on every side of the gaming industry, from retail store owner straight up through manufacturing and all that and customer service. I prefer being on the outside looking in. It's a lot easier because when you start mixing your hobby with work, if you're not that kind of person, it can get all consuming.
Oh yeah. And it's funny because you are in the industry. If you talk to the people in the industry and if they play games, you'd be surprised how many don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just,
Always surprised
well,
me.
you
Someone
don't
at
have
Games
time.
Workshop who didn't play. Like, you don't play any. Nope, don't play any of our games. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Surprising.
That's why I bought into that card game, because I'm always painting other people's minis. I don't have time to paint my own. So I'm like,
That's
card
true.
game.
There you
I don't
go.
need to
Yeah.
paint those.
You don't gotta paint a damn thing.
we catch her later. She's painting on the card. I couldn't help myself.
That's totally a thing that people do with Magic.
You know what
cards.
I want to do? So they have the playmat for this, the Warhammer Age of Sigmar, the Champions card game, and you've got your life counter, right? And on the playmat, it's just a bunch of circles, and you're supposed to move your little counter down the track. And I'm like, well, I need a miniature to represent that. Obviously.
Obviously, I love it.
Which, go ahead to talking about it. Adam, is that thing live right now?
It is not yet.
Ooh.
I am speaking with people to get it live though.
Okay.
That's okay. We'll talk slow.
We'll talk real slow. I was gonna say before we put something out. So what is okay? And I know people don't like it, but what's something that has failed?
What's something that's failed? So we made an entire amazing line for the Marvel Superheroes game, and then it didn't exist anymore. So I would say that is technically a pretty big failure.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect example of your do the research and realize that those guys didn't have a license to do it in the U.S. And
Yep.
that was unfortunate because
That was a good game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like
Yeah, it just kind of fell apart real fast. And obviously, I don't think people were necessarily ready or for Disney to come in and buy out Marvel, and like all those kind of different things happen. But I think that would be a really, really good example. Another one that it's funny because we'll occasionally get a sale for it, and I get super excited about it because just whatever, it's one of those Pyrrhic victories. But we made an entire line of tokens for the Pokemon card game, and anyone who's ever seen them that plays thinks they are just amazing, right? They're like, this is the coolest thing ever. I love these, and they just never sold. They never took off. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
I think the target audience for that is not the right one.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
They're going to
clearly.
buy accoutrement, or they're going to buy more cards. They're going to buy more cards.
Right. So yeah, so for
but
sure.
That's a good point, knowing that, because you'd think it would take off if they're awesome, but then you got to
Yeah.
realize that those people
Oh
are
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
The feedback was great. We sent them to some people that played online, and everything everyone said is like, oh my gosh, this is just great. And I was like, sweet. Like we got got something going, and it just never really took off. Now we do sell them on occasion. Honestly, they make amazing presents for people that play the game, because that's something where it's kind of like nice bar accessories. If you like to entertain people, it's like maybe not something you'd ever buy yourself, but like that's a great present for somebody who's into that kind of thing, right? So I tend to see more sales of that stuff for people who aren't even playing the game; they're buying for somebody else. But all in all, I would say that underperformed where we thought it would. So those are two examples of things that we put the effort and the energy into, and just never really took off, or couldn't take off, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel's not really your fault.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Wow, man, those minis.
So you thought about you thought about doing something for the DC universe game if it ever actually takes off like that?
Yeah, so we could use basically almost all the same stuff we made. We've talked about it, but I've gotten better about focus in terms of releases and trying to gauge importance of what we're going to focus on, right? So we only have so many resources on development and everything else. So the question kind of comes down to often is, what is the reachable player base? What percentage of that player base is probably going to buy our stuff? And then what is going to be our return on that investment versus doing something else?
Gotcha.
So,
and that's a game where I literally don't play it because I'm like, I want them to put in a rule book. I want a physical rule book in my hand. Then I'm in. Until then, GTFO.
Then there you go. There you go. Right? It has not gained traction in a way that we would like to see in terms of growth. So we haven't done it. And for my personal design kind of philosophies, if I can't do it better than somebody else who's already doing it, we tend not to do it. Or in my opinion of better, I should say. If we can't do something that's going to be innovative and not just more of the same, I kind of don't go into those markets. So
I appreciate them a company. I mean, I like buying all my stuff at one place. Sometimes you're just making the same thing those guys made. Theirs is a little bit better. Would I get it all in one spot? Is that really worth it, or
Well, what does it take? Because you and I have done this recently. What does it take to take something from conception to actual product?
Oh, Gonzo.
Okay, so first it's just a bunch of talking, right? A lot of back and forth. I get a lot of window shoppers of people who want to do things, and I'm always welcome to talk to them about it and walk them through it. But that is a huge, not a drain, but it's a huge time sink in terms of the process, right? So, so the first thing we learned is we kind of have to do like a pretty solid minimum, because someone would be like, "Hey, I want this custom thing," and you're like, "Okay," and they're like, "I just want 2 of them." And you're like, "Wow, well, it's a lot of effort just to make these 2 things." So we kind of over the years built up on a price thing. On figuring out what makes that worth our time. So once we had that done, it's kind of like, well, you want to do blah 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 blah. Cool. This is our options of materials. This is our options of how we can assist you in this. Do you want packaging? Do you not want packaging? So then it's just a questionnaire. And then once we get that all done, then we actually start on the creation of the products.
Okay, and what are some of the issues you've seen that come up commonly with designing something brand new?
People don't keep themselves in their predetermined confines, and what I mean by that is when someone's like, "Well, I have this budget," and you're like, "Okay, we can work within that," and then they keep adding things. And then all of a sudden they're way over or out of budget. And you how do you respond to that for them, right? Like, they get really excited about the project, and some people are like, "Yes, I want this, I want this, I want this," and you're like, "Okay," and then they're like, "Oh, now we need to change this, change this, change this," and so that can be really frustrating for them. And then it's sad for us because we want to accommodate and we want to help, but now the project has gone way beyond its scope. And that's true just across the industry. I have that happen all the time in construction. During a remodel or something, someone starts with one thing and then they keep adding on, and then when the project gets close to being finished and they look at the bill, they're like, "Oh,
How did that happen?
right." So we tend to see some buyer's remorse because people just get so into what they're doing, and so that sucks. That sucks to see that happen. And sometimes people are just they're like, "Yep, I changed it. I'm in. I want this. Let's do this. Now invested. But, let's go on there." So that's one of them. Two is lack of communication. Lack of communication can be a really, really big killer. Making assumptions on things can be really, really bad, and that's just in general with any business transaction. They don't read the fine print, or they don't read the print at all, or anything like that can lead to an issue that stalls a project. And then finally, there's just timing, right? Fitting it in. We're not a huge multinational corporation or anything like that. So, I'll have projects build out to 2 or 3, 4 months ahead of time sometimes. And so like fitting that in and then the timeline that they're given. And then, for example, people don't think about this, but let's say we have an art change need on a Thursday, right? No one responds. Then it automatically hits to the next Monday. Right. Well, technically, even though Saturday and Sunday aren't necessarily working days, those are days we lost to whatever due date we were discussing on making it on. So like that kind of stuff really adds up. So just a lot of just process and manufacturing issues that can be a thing, or real life gets in the way. Someone has a baby, or someone has a parent that gets sick, or whatever. So that also can stop it. Or we have staffing changes, or all sorts of things.
Someone goes to conventions all the time.
Or we go to conventions all the time.
Well, at least things are scheduled out in advance, and you get to plan for that.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm going to give him shit.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, and then here's the other thing. The people that are supposed to go to the conventions all of a sudden can't go because of real life. And then it's an audible. I'm like, well, what? How are we doing this? We already paid for the booth. We're going. So let's figure this out. So you have stuff like that. Or whatever we're doing for, for example, if you guys wanted to make, I don't know, say 6 months ago you wanted to make X-Wing stuff. Then they're like, oh, surprise, there's all these new rules for this version 2. So we're like, well, you got to throw all this crap out. Like, this doesn't work. So we have had that happen once or twice with some stuff that people wanted to do. Or we had to change it up to fit that, right? And that just kind of backs things up. So, and that has nothing to do with even like, well, let's imagine one of our pieces of equipment go down. Like,
oh yeah,
we're a little behind now. So, yeah, I mean, those are a lot of the really big things that can be an issue, and that is completely outside of just the design space, the art, the revisions, like that normal process that just takes time.
Yeah,
the more revisions requested, the longer it's going to take.
With that, what are you doing for us?
So, excited to announce that we are going to be kind of a home base for More Than Dice, their new swag that they're coming out with, that hopefully we'll have a live link here for maybe after the cast is over, looking timeline-wise, thanks to daylight savings. We're gonna
the antiquated philosophy of daylight savings time.
Yeah, I did not understand that they didn't do daylight savings, and so I was like, "Hey, you need to be here, this time," and it was, an hour early, and it was like, well, not with daylight savings times, it's not.
Yeah, just so your listeners know, Arizona does not do daylight savings. We think it's dumb. So
now,
it's dumb too, but they won't stop here in Illinois.
But there is also something that we are affiliate with, y'all. And so we do have an affiliate link.
Yeah. Can you post that?
I just sent that out, and let me see if I can get that to go ahead and go and post right now. And it should go live on Facebook, guys. I know a couple of us, and we all kind of talked about it just for a little bit. But we are now having our affiliate program. I don't know if I can get this to go. Edit. Go now. It should show up in about the next few minutes. And we are affiliate with Broken Egg Games. So if you use our link, anything you buy, we get a small little kickback. But we also are going to be putting out our own product. And we kind of showed those off a little bit earlier. And it was our 2 Oklahomas, 2 of each proxy bases, and then we're having our tournaments one. It is which is 3 standing flags. Which I will tell you, when I used those at Age of Sigmar, that was one of the biggest hits. And people really dug the 3D standing flags for Age of Sigmar because they could see it from across the table because you're playing on a 6-foot table. It stood out really well for them. They really, really, really liked those. Plus a tournament tracker and 2 writable objective markers. So that went really, really, really well. Let me just do this. I'll just do a copy and paste it. It should show up on Facebook probably.
It's on Facebook.
Yeah.
It'll be in the Facebook chat for our video also.
Yep. And I just posted the link. We haven't made it as an announcement. And that is our link to look at everybody going for a heist right now in the middle of everything.
Well, they hadn't done it all cast. I was like, what's going on?
But if you look up there, that is our link for our affiliate link. So if you use that and buy anything from there, it helps us out a lot. It'd be really appreciated. And our product will be up shortly, whenever that happens.
We'll share the heck out of it when it shows up. Don't you worry about that, guys.
Yeah. And so we will have that, which is... Oh, you know what? I could probably go get those. Hold on a second. Adam.
Yes.
What's the next big project you're working on that you're allowed to talk about?
That you can talk about, yeah.
So, okay. I'm going to pull up my my organizer, because that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's a better question than letting me go wild. I got some crazy questions, but they're crazy.
I like crazy questions. You came to the right...
After this one, we get John's crazy questions.
Love it.
Wow, yeah.
Okay.
That should be a segment in and of itself, John.
John's crazy questions? Wow.
What system? Are we going to narrow it down to a system?
No.
Whatever you can talk about, man.
Okay. So we are working with some really high-level artists right now that do stuff for Magic the Gathering to produce some products that will be sold through them as their rights to their own art allows them to do so. So that's going to be a really big one that I think is going to be really popular, and I'm excited about that because I'll be able to work with just a boatload of really, really awesome artists.
And some of that art is just crazy good.
Right? Yeah. So I'm really excited to be able to offer that for them. They'll be able to sell those at trade shows if they have their own personal websites. So I don't think that's necessarily going to be a Broken Egg product, but it is something that I'm really excited that we're going to be able to do. So that's really cool. Another thing that we're going to be doing is and I actually haven't announced this anywhere technically, so this would be the first time I've announced it, is we're going to be doing some faction-specific proxy bases for Hordes and War Machine. So I think people are really going to eat those up. That'll be really cool. And we got some more things in the 40K area, specifically to do with things like Kill Team and Necromunda and stuff like that coming out. Hopefully moving there. And where are we at? Can't talk about that.
Don't talk about anything you can't talk about.
Yeah. And then I got to get the 2 CID releases for Crix and Protectorate officially on the website there and get that rolling. So those are the immediate things that are gonna roll us through probably to the end of September, October, and then we have some things in October / November that just might be really awesome. Some potential crowdfunding things on the horizon that if they don't hit this fall, they'll hit in the early spring. So busy.
Super busy.
Yeah,
So-
no doubt.
I have a question before John's crazy questions.
Okay.
Are you at Adepticon?
Oh, we are at Adepticon. Yes.
Okay, then I should see you there.
Yeah, we've I love Adepticon. It's a great show. We've been there 4 years now, 3 years. I don't know. honestly, and I don't mean this as a negative way. These cons really start to
They
blend.
do.
In terms of just like because you see all your same friends and like you got it all going and it's so funny because I'll be talking to somebody and we'll be like, oh yeah, I remember, and they're like, that was 2 years ago, and I was like, wait, what? So yeah, that's definitely a thing for sure. But yeah, so we'll be at Adepticon. Love going there. It's a really, really fun show. It's really well run, and I love how late the gaming goes and whatnot, and just to hang out. Like those kind of cons are a lot of fun, where you get like that real tight knit feel, camaraderie and stuff. Like the painting at Adepticon, the painting panels and groups and stuff is just so cool.
Yeah.
To hang out.
Well,
in that corner.
that's where I am. I'm at Fort Wapple at Adepticon. That's pretty much where I live at that convention.
Right. So yeah, very cool.
Gonzo has a white sheet, so I think he's going to interrupt my crazy questions with something.
No, he isn't.
Nope. We won't let him.
All right. Well, so first one, and you can answer this or not as you wish because it is out of left field. No preamble. What was your biggest problem taking a company that had sort of had a customer service problem and turning it completely around? Because you have turned it completely around. I want that 100% clear. You just completely turned it around. But
Yeah.
how hard was that, man?
Super hard. So someone that I want to give a shout out to taking care of that is Z, Johnny. When he worked with us, he really, really focused on the customer service, and we took it out of the hands of the person that should never have touched it in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that once we did that, because customer service is not the hardest thing in the world, it really isn't.
No.
Once we took that or removed that blockade between the customers and reality is what I should say, it really helped. The other thing that I think that is really good, and it's something that I had to focus and do to make sure people know, I'm often honest to a fault. Sometimes I shouldn't share information that I share or whatnot, and I think people appreciate that. So, for example, if an order gets dropped, instead of making some really dumb excuse on why it gets dropped, I literally just say, hey guys, like I messed up or we messed up, let us make it right. And we have had problems in the past, and that's usually my response is like, we will mess up. We're a small company. We're gonna hit roadblocks. We're gonna hit hiccups, but just give us a chance to make it right, and we'll do our best. And if we didn't, come back and tell us, and we'll try again. And so just kind of like getting on that attitude is really important. Plus, obviously, I'm sure most of your viewers probably more or less know, but removing very toxic people from the company has been insanely helpful in terms of transparency and trust and, just good old-fashioned good work. So I think that's just really the key was removing a person that was causing a lot of problems.
Yeah, and I want to get that out there because there was a lot of negativity for a while, but you guys have just, like I said, completely turned it around. And I don't think everyone knows that. Some people hear your name and still have a sort of bad taste. I'm like, no, dude, look at all the War Machine players using all their measuring sticks. Those are all Broken Egg games. They're back on it, guys. You need to get that. That's the past. Get out of that.
Right, and I think it's and we see that just with games in general, right? Or really, unfortunately, the community. It's very easy to echo. So without even thinking about it, someone will pop in and and echo something that just hasn't even been true since whenever. And that's not just for Broken Egg. That's for maybe a War Machine or GW or anything. And so sometimes it's just hard to shake. And I fully expect that. We might never fully shake that, and that's okay. Like that's part of the growth, and that's it's a scar on the arm that I have to bear and be proud of, because it was a big learning experience, and I know one way not to do something now. So we won't be having that happen again. But yeah, just big time growing pains. But yeah, it's totally true. I remember when we first got into this process. We'd gotten a batch of acrylic that was mislabeled, so it wasn't the type we needed, and so we had some peeling issues with the new acrylics, the full art stuff. And so even though it was really more or less only like one large batch of acrylic, and kind of funneled into all of our different product lines, we replaced that stuff, no questions asked. So if you had a peeling acrylic, you just reach out to us, but someone would be like, "Oh, it's." That happens, or their product's not good, and I'm like, whoa, that's really not true. We had a bad batch, but we're over that, right? So it's just something that I think you just have to keep dealing with, and letting people know, and then building some champions in the community, people that are really happy. If you had a good experience with us, most of the time you don't share it, right? It's what you expect. You only hear the bad. So I would say if you guys are supporters, let people know, like, hey, they exactly like you said, they've turned that around, or they're doing really good, or well, we'll take care of you. We're to the best of our ability, right? We're not some giant evil corporation. Although it'd be really fun to like have my board of directors surrounding, and I'm doing the Mr. Burns thing. That'd be great, but that's not the case. We're a small company, few dudes trying to do some cool things. So. Yeah. I mean, anytime you can see that, it's asking somebody to say, hey, you know what? That wasn't my experience. This is what I did. This is what happened.
Yeah, that's what I want to say to our listeners is that you have to, if you have better information than the person saying something, just challenge them. Don't let people propagate those false facts or anything. That's where, I mean, in the gaming industry, anywhere really, but really in the gaming industry, because it's all us together. If you know something more, you had a good experience, speak up. Mm-hmm. Say something, and by the same measure, if you had a bad experience someplace everyone's saying is the best, say something there too. Let people make their own decision. Let them hear all the sides. Don't just let the false information go around. It's right. On us. All of us can be hobby champions in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, I agree.
And I'm super aware of different shortcomings and stuff that we have. Sometimes we take longer to get a product made or out, and it's because I try to have really high quality standards. If I don't like the way it looks, it doesn't go out, and I try to instill that into my employees. Hey guys, if this doesn't look good, remake it. And sometimes that means things take longer, but I would rather that quality level be maintained than be quick about it. So I think that's another thing. And then sometimes when Adam's left in charge of the emails, it takes a while for me to get back to people. That is very true.
You and I have actually, we had to go through a growing part, and it was one small issue that whenever it got done, it was like, whoops, we didn't even see it until I had the product in my hand. Mm-hmm. And of course y'all made it right because that's what y'all do. But I was showing off the flags. Actually, we had two, and they're not even issues. We had two things come up. We were trying to build these 3D flags, and we were testing the flags out, and the hole that the flag stands in, when the first initial one was done, it was too tight, and it snapped the base off, and right. We had to do some readjusting. And we found out the best way for all this to do is not to increase the size of the hole, but shave it down just a little bit. Tell people that it is supposed to be a tight fit, but don't force it.
Right.
Totally prefer that. I've bought something from a quasi competitor of you guys, and they don't fit in the bases. Like they just wobble in there, and I'm like, "Hey guys, is this supposed to be like that?" Like, yeah, they're not a tight fit at all. I'm like, no, this isn't even a fit. They're like, we're sorry, that's just how we build them. I'm like, okay, well, say something, let people know that.
Right.
I'm a veteran hobbyist. I can glue a little bit of plastic card to a side of it and make it fit.
Yeah.
Wedge a little Kleenex in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putty, green stuff, but you want to know expectation. It's first rule customer service: manage your expectations. If you know, you're going in, you're fine. Oh, I know it's gonna be like this. It's all good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely a design decision, right? Like Gonzo and I talked about it a bunch, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'd rather have it tighter because you can always remove material. Adding it back is a little harder."
Absolutely.
And what a lot of people don't realize is all of the laser cut products that you see, they're all cast acrylic, which means the thickness is going to vary, and we just can't control that. And so when you're trying to make something that fits that area and it's laser precise, but the acrylic isn't, you're just going to have variance. So I would always rather, and it's the same thing for our standing elite tokens, I would always rather err on it being too tight and you shaving it, or needing, or whatever, rather than it be too loose. Because if it's too loose, it's basically useless.
Yeah, 'cause if it's a tiny bit loose, it's not a big deal. But if it's too loose, you're just like, this is just falling over. Like, what the hell?
Right.
Well, I mean, like we were talking about stuff that we were doing, and it's like we're doing stuff that's different than some other people have been doing. But that was something I wanted to do, and we wanted to do as a team. And something we did was the tournament trackers and the objective markers that are writable. And no one's done that like this. And so we're like, okay, we've got to figure out how to do it. And we were looking at it and like, okay, we need it big enough that people can see, but not so big that it takes up an entire section of the board. And that was an issue that we saw. And so we made up, the objective markers that have a writable spot so you can write what type of objective, how much damage. And then, of course, the tournament tracker. And then the flags. Like I said, we ran into the issue of, is the hole going to be too big, too small? We had to figure out what we're going to do with that.
And isn't that just the question in general most of the time?
Was it going to work? Another one we talked about, and I didn't even know, was putting arc markings on on proxy bases.
Yeah.
Because people don't, and I didn't know this, so I had to learn that if you were to actually put the lines on there on the acrylic, if the cut is off any, it ruins that whole objective marker or proxy base. And so, which Chris came up with a really good, I guess it was Chris, came up with a really good idea where we put notches into the bases. Which I thought was a really cool thing because you cut it like that, so there's not going to be. Because if you look at it, it's always going to be this. And like there's the front. And anytime you use it, it's going to be there. And it's not going to mess up when you cut it.
Yep. And you can technically even paint the front of it, like the little front of it, on the side.
Yeah, because y'all sent me one without the markings and then one with, and I was like, we're doing the one with the little notches because I can set a laser and go, boom, there it is.
Yep.
Don't have to worry about it. Oh, there's my front facing.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. For War Machine, absolutely. You got to.
Yeah, War Machine, Guild Ball. I mean, technically, even to some extent, a lot of other games are at least acknowledging the idea of facing,
Well, non-GW games.
Yeah.
Who needs facing? What?
I had a problem. I was firing my knight. I'm like, my knight's hiding behind another knight just to make it really hard for things to shoot him because he got effed up. So it's like, I'm firing a gun around the side. I'm like, yeah, cool, I can do that. But I can't fire my stubber because it would go through the knight. He's like, no, John, you can draw your light of fire from any part of your model. I'm like,
you can whip around and look behind you all in the same turn.
So I did check out, and our products are not listed yet, guys, but definitely we are going to be selling some stuff. One of the packages is going to be the 3 flags, 2 objective markers, and a tournament tracker. And then the other one is 2 of each proxy base. Which I'm just going to show you.
It's there now, Gonzo.
Are the products there now?
Yep. I put it in its own category.
Let's see.
Just now. So if you go directly to the homepage, you'll see More Than Dice. It's its own category.
Oh, but there's no products there, though.
Yeah, there are. He said he was going to do it one drop down so you can choose.
Oh, okay.
Somebody was paying attention.
No.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let me share this real quick. Guys, here is our own page. This is like, I'm super excited. Y'all don't understand how super exciting this is for me.
It was a process.
This is like a dream of mine come true. Of the products that we're... This is actually really, really cool for me. I've never, this podcast is a baby of mine. having these awesome co-hosts and then working with awesome people has been really, really what I look forward to. It is a challenge, but I'm really looking forward. If you go on there, you can see, use the drop-down box. You can get all of the product for a cheaper price, or you can buy individually. Also, you can also use the link to the affiliate, make it a whole lot easier on yourself, make it easier on us. And it should be all updated, but you can find us on the More Than Dice. We hope y'all like these. We worked really hard.
It really did. It really did. You guys put a lot of effort into figuring out what it is. It's just months of deciding what products to offer and everything else. And I just want to say, at the end of the day, for your listeners, even if these are things you guys already have, I recommend getting them. You could always give them to a new player or anything else. But at the end of the day, like, this is a really awesome way to support,
Yes.
More Than Dice and what they do, because it funds the next episode, or the increase of graphics, or either projects or any events that they want to do. So even if it's not something that you need, you can always give that to somebody else, which is then going to make them a fan. It's just a really, really effective way of supporting these guys. So please do take advantage of that.
Every bit, which one to tell you is every bit that we sell goes right back into our podcast. We don't get rich off of this, guys. There's no way. We don't make money off of this. We take every bit and send
There's
it back
no
out
profit. We're
Yeah.
very poor Ferengi.
We turn around and do other cool stuff, which we've got a dice order coming out pretty soon. So we got
Yep.
more dice coming for everybody.
Yay.
We're still looking to get a new camera for Kathy. We're looking to upgrade some of the graphics for us. I am actually looking in for T-shirts for us pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. And every bit that we get in, we take and put it back out, just so we can add cool things for y'all. And it looks like we are just a little bit over on time, and it's media section time, guys. Y'all ready for media section?
Section.
Private jet
I
for
haven't-
John going conventions? Yeah, I don't think so.
I haven't been watching stuff. I've been playing Champions all week.
So give us your review of the card game now, since you've had quite a few more games. There would be your media section. How about that?
I am such a noob at card games. I didn't play Magic the Gathering since like the early 90s, when it first came out, and then I sold off all my stuff for a pile of money. And I sucked at it then. But I've kind of joined up with this whole community of people on the Discord server for AOS Champions, and I've been picking up some tips from people who have been playing card games like forever. They've been playing like all the card games forever. And so there are some helpful tips that I have gleaned from these people. And if I'm building a deck, I can put it out there to them on the server and say, what do you think about this? Do I need to tweak this a little bit? Is this a completely stupid idea? I have a Valkia, Valkia the Bloody, and a Morikar of the whatever. Anyways, and I want to put them both into the same deck, and it's a stupid removal, like a self-damaging or self-removal, like it's me removing all of my cards as I'm playing in order to hopefully get benefits, but also do damage to the other guy, so that I can kill him in the end, because essentially that's what it's all about. But that's my like stupid fluffy baby deck, I guess. That's my pet deck that I want to be able to do well with, but I know that I need the right cards, and I need to finesse more with that one than just like Archeon and some champions, and all they do is throw demons at you and then you die. It's a bit more finesse than this smashy kind of do lots of damage They call them aggro decks. I just learned that term this week.
Aggro decks?
I'm like, I'm such a noob. I'm like, what's aggro? I don't understand. What's control? What's all these words you people are using at me?
Well, Kathy, I think an aggro deck is something that we make at Broken Egg. But an aggro as an aggression.
Yes, I figured that out. Oh, I watched the YouTube. I did the research. But yeah, so it's been a fun week of learning about just basic card game terminology, which is a thing, and I had no idea. I'm like, okay, but it's been a lot of fun. So I have Chaos is my, of course, bloody Chaos, and I have Archaon, and I have 3 Archaons in case anybody else cares, because it's rare and unique.
I care.
How I managed to get 3 of them, I don't know. But I sure can't get the other stuff that I want.
RNG is RNG.
But yeah. But it's been fun, and the community is fun. So far, it's interesting. You can tell the people who just want to be really good at a card game, so that they have one thing in their life they can brag about, I guess. But for the most part, they're a fun group of people so far.
Adam, you had an announcement to make, and so we'll make it during the middle of the media section.
Right.
And it's actually something really cool and really dear to your heart. What is it?
So we did a kind of an impromptu charity giveaway for something that's really close to me. My cousin Chad was in the Marines, and due to complications with PTSD medication, passed away on base after 2 tours in the Middle East. He was actually here in the United States. And so we created, my aunt and uncle created a foundation in his honor, and a model that really kind of like stood out to me, and it's kind of a funny story. Originally I thought was super, super stupid until I saw it in person, was the Rocket Girl, the alt model that Privateer Press makes for Crucible Guard. And so we did basically a raffle giveaway where people could donate. They didn't have to, and they could just enter into the raffle. Just kind of as an acknowledgement of everything going on, and you guys agreed to paint 2 of the Rocket Girls, which I now have in hand, so I can send that over to you, and give away to 2 people that entered the raffle, and I have your guys' winners.
Oh no!
So,
Oh
yeah.
no! You better announce mine last, because that person's going to be so sorry.
Okay. So Alex Barker Steven Gibson are the 2 winners for More Than Dice. So we'll get you guys in contact with them if you want to have them on the show or anything. I don't know if they'll be super excited about that or not. They actually don't know. I just announced it right now. Actually, maybe Steven knows. I think he had messaged me a while back on it. And he just, as funny as it was, he was one of the winners. So those are the More Than Dice winners. I'm super excited about it. So I'm going to get you guys the Rocket Girls. PP was really great in helping me get that put together. Super supportive. I got to collect them at Gen Con. And so we'll be announcing the rest of the winners from the other affiliates here in the near future. A lot of people signed on. It was really great. Advanced Maneuvers. Charles signed on just as himself, which is really awesome. So he's gonna be painting something for me, painting a Rocket Girl. Gorilla with a Brush agreed to do it. White Whale Studios. Who else? Good Day Bloke. Has agreed to do it. So we've had some really, really cool people jump on board that are going to be supporting, to where we're going to be giving out 11 or 12 of these, and I'm going to do one myself. So it's going to be dangerous because I have not painted in quite some time. So, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and you guys, paint them however you want. You can work with the person who won if you want, or you can just send it out to them. So. I'll be getting you guys their email information, and yeah, it's a big deal. I hope to support the Chad Oldschlager Foundation a little bit more often through Broken Egg. He was really, really close to me, so it was definitely a very, very trying experience for the family, and it really kind of opened my eyes to how much that goes on in the military in general, and there's just that silent suffering that people don't necessarily even know that they have it. It's a really, really good charity. Please check it out if you guys have a chance. The Chad Oldschlager Foundation. It's not a huge one. It's very personal, and they really take care of the people that they reach out for. So, okay.
So, what is your media section you got for us then?
Media. Media. What is new?
Movie, book,
Okay.
TV series.
You give us a review,
music.
but we've got to tell you, we've got a review. Kathy, you got to give us a review of the card game, and we do it in space herpes. The more space herpes, the worse it is.
Oh, space herpes.
Yeah,
Generally from 0 to 5.
0 to 5. So you
is
got to tell
there-
us, describe it.
Well, I need to know: is there a cure for space herpes?
No.
Is that treatable?
Of course not.
So it's pretty bad then.
Thanks for the follow, Kenny Powers.
Okay. So I watch very little TV, unfortunately. Even though I do love it, I do actually love binging, just crazy, days binging, but never get to do it. I actually watched a few episodes of Disenchanted. The new, and it is really good. It's really legitimately funny. So I'm gonna give that 0.2 space herpes because it was I was totally surprised, pleasantly surprised at how good it is. It takes a lot of Matt Groening's best humor parts, whether you like Futurama or you like The Simpsons or whatever. It really just kind of pulls all together a lot
Life
of really
in
good.
Hell.
We're no
What'd you say,
longer.
You remember Matt Groening's, his cartoons, which were Life in Hell, with the
Mhm.
little weird bunny people?
Yep.
Those were awesome.
Yeah, exactly. He just really, the writing's really, really solid. And it's that classic where you could have your kids watching it and they're not going to pick up on the adult jokes, and they're going to enjoy the stupid slapstick humor of it. And then on the flip side, you're like, did they really just really
I
just
need
do
to look that one up.
Yeah.
After Reapercon.
Oh yeah, I know. It's really, really good. I binged 4 or 5 episodes of it, and I was like, this is just great. So yeah, definitely a point 4 space herpes. Not really a whole space herpes. Maybe it just really kind of, you can see it a little bit on the lip. You're like, is that a zit? I'm not it's probably just a zit.
It's not quite an open sore.
Yeah, no, it didn't. There's no ooze. Yeah, you just be with a little bit of makeup, you've covered that up and you're golden. That's where it's at right there.
See, I was a complete
Dude,
opposite.
You need to watch Ice Pirates. I just need to throw that out there real quick.
Ice Pirate?
If nobody has
Ice
watched
Pirates.
Ice Pirates, you need to go watch it. That's
Okay.
must have before you come to the podcast next Sunday.
Cheesy 80s sci-fi.
It's amazing sci-fi.
I mean, this sounds like me and a bunch of my friends got drunk, sold everything we owned, and then came up and actually just became pirates. This is what that sounds like.
Yeah,
the
pretty
biggest
much.
part of
Yeah,
that, you and your friends get drunk and watch the movie is probably
Yes.
the best way to watch it.
Yes.
I think that's, yeah.
I can do that.
So sorry, Gonzo, I interrupted you.
I see. I'm a complete opposite with Adam on Disenchanted. I'm about 5 episodes in, and I don't think I've laughed maybe once.
What?
Yeah.
You have no soul. What is wrong with you?
I'm like, this is now. Don't get me wrong; it's got some cool stuff in it, but I'm just not finding it funny at all. I'm like, where's the jokes? Where's the jokes?
Okay. Another one I'll give you, Gonzo, on this is its quotability after the fact is very important for my comedy. So if later I can throw out a quote and somebody gets it and they get where it's from, that's going to be good. And I think that show's going to have a lot of that, where you just say something, somebody can finish it, and you're like, that was fun.
I like it. Is it GIF worthy?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, there's going to be some gifts coming out of that
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Ugh.
Gonzo's a robot. 5 space herpes is basically what you just gave it. Like the whole.
No, I give it.
You give it like 3.5, something like that.
Yeah, I give it like 3.5.
How is 0.4 space herpes the exact opposite 3 or 4 herpes? I'm not that great at math. I don't think that's how that works.
I don't math. I don't know. These are percentages you're talking about.
I don't think those are percentages.
Those are decimal points.
0.4?
What? That's not a percentage.
It's 40% of a space herpes.
40% of a
Decimal.
space.
No, you're just converting it. Just 0.4. It's a fraction of a space herpes.
It is also a fraction of a space herpes, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was never good at fractions or percentages.
That's fair. I taught pre-algebra for 2 years. It's terrible.
I have to use them at work a lot.
What, fractions or space herpes?
Fractions and percentages, no space herpes. Well, I mean, no, not really.
I was just going to say, I don't know what you do, but you don't get paid enough. You're doing space herpes.
Fair. Oh,
Awesome.
John, what is your first one?
my first one is I watched season 12 of Red vs. Blue.
Oh, okay.
That's
And?
still going?
Yeah, it's 4 seasons afterwards.
Man, you just really brought me back.
Oh, dude, I will tell you, if you haven't watched it in a while, seasons like 6 through 10 are absolutely amazing. Like, it actually goes into... They're still being silly and stupid, but there's actually some underlying really good story. They had some great animations till their animator passed. And just was really good. This is back towards... And it follows sort of the same thing. They're doing trilogies. The first part of the trilogy is a little more humor-based. And they get into the story, it gets a little more serious, with still them being stupid and funny, but it goes up in the seriousness and then drops back down afterwards.
That's awesome. This is the quotability, right? Why did we build this base in this box canyon? Well, because they built that base in this box canyon. It's just amazing. Just such good writing.
They haven't been in the box canyon for a while. They're actually doing stuff. It's crazy. There's some good stuff there to be seen. So season 12 is the second part of the Chorus trilogy where they crashed on a planet, ended up in basically another box canyon until they left to do other stuff. And it's them figuring out what's going on. At the end of the first season, half the team got captured by the bad guys, the other half got captured or was rescued by the good guys. And the season is them figuring out, and I mean, it's pretty much the least competent of them because it's Tucker, Griff, Simmons, and Caboose, and they have to go rescue everyone else. So it's a lot of that, and they have some character development for some of the characters, which is crazy when you think that it's Red versus Blue and they're having character development. But Tucker has a lot of character development, and there's some good moments. It's very enjoyable. It's not as high as their peak because, again, like I said, their animator passed. It was a freak accident during a surgery. And they're more using the engine mostly now for everything, which is still fine. That's what it started at. It's just not going to reach that same height as in, the middle there. But still enjoyable. It's about 3 hours long for the whole season, so they're getting a bit longer, but that's fine. I watch about an hour with dinner a couple times a week, and then catch up slowly. I'm going to try and get the next season done this next week. I give this one about 1.5 space herpy. And honestly, Griff probably has a space herpy because it's Griff. But enjoyable. Check it out. It's on Netflix. Free.
So let's see. My first one, it's on Netflix. It's called Magic for Humans. And it's your typical street magician. The guy's pretty good. He's not that spooky, look into my eyes and I can make the world disappear. And
He's not Boris Karloff.
Yeah, he's not. He's not.
Good reference. Wow.
He's not trying to be uber cool, if you know what I'm saying. And he's an ordinary looking kind of a nerdy guy. And he does some street stuff where, he one of the first scenes is he ties someone's phone to a bunch of balloons and sends the balloon away. And so they're like, that's my phone on that balloon and it's going away. And of course he's got it, tucked away, hidden somewhere else, but they freak about it. And this big old black lady is like, you know what you should never do with a black person's phone? Take it away and put it on balloon because you got your ass beat. And I was like, he laughed and joked about it. And he does some pretty funny, stupid magic tricks. You can tell some of them are staged and such, but some of it's just done for comedy. And they've already started making GIFs about his magic tricks because some of them were laugh out loud hilarious. But he also does a bunch of social experiments, which I know everybody's seen, where they do like, this guy walks up to someone in a crowded area and says, hey, can you show me where this is? And they show him a map, and then something gets in between them, and he switches, spots with somebody. And so it's a different person asking the thing to see if they notice it's a different person. And he takes it one step further, where he switches out of clothes and changes it up, and it's really good. He also does one where he goes, he talks about, it's a lot of social experiments he does with it too, like regret. And about, have you ever regretted something? And someone's like, well, yeah, I regretted, not doing this with this friend, and I regret, treating this person like this. And it's all done right with that person. And there was a part where I kind of teared up because he was doing this, and he says, sometimes you regret, you just need to say you're sorry and hand them some flowers. And this guy said that he regrets not being there for his girlfriend when her mom passed away. And, of course, she's standing there, and she's tearing up. And he's like, well, give her the flowers. And, so-and-so and gives her a flower. And, of course, the note says, I regret not being there, when your mother passed away. And you can tell that it actually touched these two people, and they, forgave each other. But it was actually pretty good. They were short episodes, about 30 or so minutes long. And I think it's only like 8 episodes, so it's easily binge watchable in a day, no problem. But it was pretty good. I'd give it 2 space herpes because some of the episodes or some of the magic tricks you're like, oh, this was just a cutscene type thing or whatever. But he was making a point. Like he also did eyewitnesses. An eyewitness is not always the best thing. So it's pretty good. It's on Netflix. Magic for Humans, pretty interesting. I give it 2 space herpes.
Minutes an episode. That's not bad.
No, it's not bad. He says he does some good social experiments, does some good things. He does one like trick questions. Like he took this razor blade and swallowed it, and all this blood is coming out of his mouth and everything. And he says, "All right, time for your trick question." And of course, the ladies there are freaking out and just can't believe there's all this blood coming from him. And he's like, "So," and I can't remember the exact one, but it was like, "So what happens when Luke Skywalker kills Harry Potter?" And it's just stupid trick questions, and she's just still flabbergasted about all the blood coming out of him. So, I recommend it, but I like magic tricks too. Who's next? John?
I got a small one real quick.
Okay.
I've actually was doing a lot of stuff around the house today and listening to Jerry Reed of all things, and man, he's got some really abusing music. As long as you can dig country, I have some friends who have. They feel about country like Gonzo feels about Ready Player One. But he's got a good sense of humor. He's got some solid guitar work and just very enjoyable, good music to listen to. So give that a shot. I give Jerry Reed 0 space herpes, unless you're talking about the later Smokey and the Bandit movies, but we'll judge those on their own merits and demerits.
He was on Scooby-Doo.
Hold on. Jerry Reed was on Scooby-Doo?
I'm pretty sure he was. I could be
No, I think he absolutely was. I'm going to watch that on YouTube later today. Boom. So there you go. Jerry Reed was also on Scooby-Doo. That's definitely 0 space herpes for anyone who's on Scooby-Doo.
I have
Gonzo,
one
what's your
more.
other one?
I have one more. Anybody else have anything else? Nobody?
Which is media music related?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
What are you listening to?
Wow. So I think I do have a pretty large array of music that I listen to. Anything from classical music to dubstep to like really hard metal. Kind of
the
all
right
over the place.
podcast.
Yeah. So, but Elise Trow is one that has impressed me recently. Make sure I'm pronouncing her name right. I could type it, but look it up. But it's not something that I would ever. Yeah, Elise Trow. So it's Elise, and then Trouw. I never would have thought that I would be into that kind of music. And the song "Line of Sight" is the first one that I got introduced to, and I just really like it. It's just, I mean, something about her voice. I don't know. Obviously, she's gorgeous, right? Easy to look at, but something about that voice and how it comes together, and it's just a really, really calm, kind of like easy listen, not easy listening, more jazz-based type of song. Kind of like how you might think that you would find in like a high-rise cocktail bar or something, right? Like, yeah, I really, really enjoy it. And hopefully she has zero space herpes. So that's what I'm gonna rate her.
Yeah, she's popped through my feed a couple times. Never listened to anything, but I've added some to my checkout later, so I'll check her out after the podcast.
Yeah, me and Lyle Lowry and a couple other people have really, really been championing her on social media. I just like putting that out there because she does some mashups from some different songs and stuff, and apparently can play all those instruments that she's doing. The video is really cool. It's a loop. She does a lot of loops. And yeah, I just like never would have thought I'd be into that, but it's actually really, really like it.
I'll have to check this out. I see one that says Foo Fighters meets 70s Bobby Caldwell.
Yeah, she just
live looping mashup.
Yeah, she just loops things together, songs that she plays, and then she does the vocals herself. And yeah, the one, like I said, the one I first found was called Line of Sight, I think. And it's also a loop, or she does a loop version of it, but really cool. Just nothing I ever would have thought I would be into, and really enjoyed it. So.
And you know what? I'm looking at the genres. The genres say alternative, pop, jazz, and I'm a fan of all of those things. So, yeah.
Fair.
There you go. And yeah, just something about her voice specifically. I was just like, is this a real person? It's awesome. So.
I will be checking this out. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's my it's my most interesting media thing of late.
All right. My last one is, of course, something else on Netflix. A TV series called The Innocents. It is a foreign TV show, European, UK type style.
Oh. I like the ones with subtitles.
No, there are some subtitles because they're speaking Norwegian, I believe, in here. It's a story. It starts off as kind of a teenage romance. This girl is kind of controlled by her father, has to take a certain medication. She's in love with a teenage boy. They're going to run off together. Cool. Okay, I get it. But it turns out that the girl has superpowers. So I'm like, even cooler. And you find out, and it tells it pretty much beginning, so there's not no spoiler here, that she's able to skin shift, that she touches somebody and she can change into them.
Well, who can't do that?
Yeah, I know.
Is that not normal?
No, it's not normal at all. And so it's really good. It took a while to get started. I think about episode 3, and they're 45-minute episodes. So you get into it and you're like, okay, come on, give me some good stuff. Show me some cool things that are happening. And it just starts off a little slow. But since it's gotten started about episode 3.5, 4, it's been really, really good. The way they talk about it, the abilities, all the supernatural, superpowers and stuff going around. But there's also a lot of dealing with emotions because of how abilities work and stuff. It's been pretty good so far. It's a short series. I think it's only 8 episodes long. But they're
a Netflix original series?
Yes, it is a Netflix original series.
Okay.
So they're about 45 minutes, 50 minutes apiece. And they're 8 episodes. I think I'm on like 6 right now. And it's gotten better. I would probably give it preliminary, probably 2, just because it's a slow start. But it's been pretty good. There's some good guys, bad guys. It's got some named actors in it. I recommend it. Try it out. By Alex's episode 3.5. It starts to pick up and build up quicker, and I'm really liking it a lot because there's some really trippy things in it too. So, what's the O for? John?
I said cool.
You said cool.
Oh, there's an O. So other than that, if anybody's got anything, I think that's an episode, guys.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Adam.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
We will probably have you on some other time when we do more cool things.
I
Guys, I'm going to send y'all over to Hannah and let y'all listen to her and watch her do some painting. She does some really cool stuff. She's a good supporter of our podcast, too. So go and say hi to her. If you're not following her, hit a follow, hit a like, so on and so forth. Also, check us out on Facebook and look us out on there because we do have our link up for our affiliate. We
also
also
on Twitter, but we don't do much Twittering. I mean, I do, but Gonzo doesn't.
We do some, but not a lot. Also, don't forget, we want to thank our sponsors, Broken Egg Games. Woo woo! Thanks for the awesome things they're doing to us. Tectonic Dan for providing awesome terrain, and of course Chris from Mechanica Studios, which he's doing some cool new stuff for us too. So pay attention and watch out for that. Other than that, for More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy.
And Adam, where are you from?
Oh, I'm just Adam. I'm not. I'm just
Good night.
On a podcast, you're an official member.
Yes, you're an official member.
Haha.
Whether you like it
Or not.
Excellent.
And we danced to the music.
Rock on, then.
So, cheers, guys. That was pretty good.
Cheers.
I'm really super excited that we got that stuff out. I'm going to go and start sending everybody to Hannah. Let that raid going.
Gonzo just like freaking up there.
It's like fading out, like it's a good effect. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, but
Yeah.
We're still going.
I know. It just sounded like you were fading out, like you were playing.
Like every other word was